any longer, Jamie Atlas.
Thanks, Tina. Yeah, hey, thanks. Enter from stage left. So guys, first of all, I just want to say I'm from Australia, so I talk a little funny. Sometimes get a little excited and my words sort of mash together. So if you're not sure what I'm saying, just smile and nod. That's what everyone else tends to do. So, but what I'm going to try and do today, I sort of did a brief little sort of like surf of the crowd before we started. It's really important to me that this presentation be something that's useful to you. So if you have questions or you see things along the way, if there's something in particular you came with a burning question, please feel free to ask it. I can give a vanilla presentation, but if you guys want sprinkles or a little bit of fudge or some of the something special from your childhood that you were like thinking about, like what can I get here that'll really make it speak to me? I know you're like, all this good salad. I'm talking about ice cream, but I want you to make sure you don't hesitate to ask. It's really important to me. It's the reason that keeps me driving is that I can hopefully give something that speaks to everyone, but there's opportunities for people to interact in a way that means something to them. Because chances are a question you have would be a question someone else has as well. So today, the name of our presentation is Practical and Effective Eating, Moving and Living Strategies, which sounds pretty fancy. When I put it up there, it looks even more powerful. But really, probably, typically, if you've done this presentation before, where some guy comes and stands in front, or it's really, I might as well call it stuff you'll never really do, nor even find applicable to you. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Live in a cave or something? Seriously? Okay. So, or as alternatively, as I've heard this presentation called, an hour of my life I'll never get back. So what I want you to do today is know that I'm going to try and give you things that are practical, that are applicable, that mean something to you, and sort of sift through the standard stuff that you've heard before, the park your car 5 blocks away and then walk into work, and I'm not sure if any of you have actually done that, unless your car broke down 5 blocks away. But today, what I'm going to try and do is say, okay, here's things that in the 20 years of personal training, I've been working with clients, working with groups, working with professional athletes, working with real people, working with 16-year-olds who weigh 400 pounds, working with 70-year-olds who are trying to get back their value of life. I'm going to give you the stuff that I've found has really worked. And that's just going to be from my own perspective and my own experience and the ways that I've seen it work. Really, if we think about what we're doing and how we do it, it comes down to one main thing, which is choice. And I'm going to open with sort of just a bit of a serious thing, which is that I had a client who has recently passed away, but he was a very wise man. And one of the things that he passed on to me that I found very valuable and has stayed with me is that while we were working out, he was someone who would come into the gym and he'd work out hard and he would do his very best. And he had a few diseases that he was trying to fight his way through that unfortunately got the better of him. But I remember sort of as a personal trainer, there's times where I have a high amount of motivation and there's times where I don't, just like all of us. But I was sort of having a bit of a low down. I came in and he was just gung-ho. Came in, attacked the weights, anything I gave him, he was like, let's have a crack at it. And some things he could do, some things he couldn't, but he always gave 100%. And I sort of, at the end of the workout, I'm stretching him out and I said, Jeff, where does this come from? Like, where do you find the motivation to do this? And he said to me, you know what, Jamie, I realized a few years ago that it comes down to choice. He said, I can choose my pain. And I said, what does that mean? He said, well, I can choose the pain of being overweight, of being stressed, of having poor living standards, of not being the best I can be, or I can choose the pain of doing the things that would get me there. So essentially, and I can choose the pain of not having the health benefits that come from working out and being active, or I can choose the pain of coming here and doing these things. And so I said, so an hour with me is basically a painful thing, is what he's saying, right? But the truth is that all of us live in this world where we can choose that pain, and we get to choose that pain. And rather than me talk about the things that you can't control, things like genetics, things that might happen around you, things that other people might say to you, things that other people might give you, you have choice. And that choice comes in 3 main categories. But if you think about it, you always have choice. Sometimes we don't realize we have choice, which is sometimes stressing us out because we think, I need to do this. But do we need to do it, or do we choose to do it? Or do we not realize that there's certain things that we can choose and certain things that we can't? But we're always choosing things depending on what we want as the outcome. I could choose not to do my job, But then the outcome might be me not having the nice money that my job pays me to afford the lifestyle that I want to live, as an example. So, three main things. One, how we move, or alternatively don't move, our bodies. We have a choice for that. Thankfully, we live in this Western society where we have lots of things and no one's going to come by and chop off our hands, which is always a benefit. But how we move or don't move our bodies is one choice. The second is what we feed our mouths. What goes in here? What goes in here, we get to choose. No one is going to force the food in our mouths. Also, what we do with our minds. And I'll talk a little bit about that as we go. And I'm not going to say ESP or anything like that. I'm not going to try and move any tables today. But what I am going to try and do is talk about the things that we are in control of. Three choices we all have control of. So number one. So we have our classic desk jockey right here. Okay. I love this. I won't read all the presentation, but I find it quite amusing. Coffee goes here. Pale legs for dragging self to meeting. Uncomfortable shoes, reduce ability to flee, stuff like that. The main part here is to know that desk life itself, and as a benefit of us being highly productive human beings, we often get a desk and a keyboard to live at. And we spend about 8 to 10 hours a day at that keyboard. And if we think about, we're all sitting right now, and that's okay. That's okay, because you all got up and walked here to get here. And you're all going to get up and walk away to get back. No, I didn't see any Segways parked outside, so we're doing so well so far. The main thing I want you to think about is this. How much time do I actually spend sitting? How much time do I spend in a bent knee, bent hip position? Because I'm going to wager that you probably drove your car into work and you sat down and drove to work. And then when you got here, maybe you had some breakfast at your table, breakfast or like you're having right now, so you would have sat down to do that. Then you would have sat down to work. Then you would have sat down to have lunch. Then you're probably going to sit down to work again this afternoon. Then you'll sit down to drive home. Then you'll sit down to watch TV. Then you'll sit down to talk to a friend. And then you'll sit down to possibly watch some more TV and then all of a sudden you will go to bed. Where maybe you'll fall asleep like this. You'll still be in this bend knee position. And so really there's only 2 or 3 hours of the day where we have the opportunity to go and unravel these muscles at the front to get out of this little T-Rex position that we live in. And a little hand tapping on the keyboard. And so what I'm going to present to you is the idea that every chance you have, if you can get up and stand, don't think of it as, hey, it's a new health kick. Think of it as, I'm trying to get balance. I'm trying to get some balance back in my life. I'm trying to actually reclaim some of the things that I was evolved to do. As cavemen, like chasing the mastodon around, okay, there was a lot of moving and walking we did. We had to forage in different areas. There was natural movement that happened. And unfortunately, we all sort of like just got lulled into this sense of growing up. You sit at the table. My 3-year-old right now refuses to sit down. And and she'll come home and the teacher will say, oh yeah, Marley did great, but she wouldn't sit down for the certain activities. And I'm like, great. I'm like, fight the good fight, sister. Because I want us to do that. So things you can do. Things you can do is you can choose how you move. Maybe you can say, hey, you know what? It's totally cool us sitting down, but maybe if it's just something where we don't need to have a keyboard, or maybe if I have one of those fancy smart, which can pretty much do so many things. What if we were to have a walking meeting? What if we were to go across and just see what kind of other stuff they're digging out of the ground, see if they've found any sort of like lost treasure or anything like that? Or see what sort of development is happening. You have a beautiful park right next door. You have some really nice scenery just a couple of blocks away. Cherry Creek Trail's right there. A walking meeting now. I'm not sure if any of you are doing that. I'm not sure if it's a realistic idea. What I'm going to ask you is to look for. Chances are they'll pop up sooner or later. And maybe, just maybe, other people might go, you know what, yeah, let's try it. Let's just try it once. What's the worst that can happen? If we don't have a productive meeting, maybe we'll come back and everyone will be more productive because we'll have all this good vitamin D from the sun. So think about that in terms of that desk life. Here's another really interesting part of research. In terms of terminal diseases, I'll tell you this. A lot of us talk about getting our 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week. There's some new research out there. I'm not going to say it's definitive, but I'm going to say it really made me think. And what it made me, and what the research was it showed that they took one group, and group A did no exercise at all. Group B exercised at least 30 minutes 3 times a week. Group C didn't exercise, but they had a job that required them to get up every 45 minutes to an hour to go from point A to point B just to pick something up, to do some general movement, walk up a flight of stairs, things like that. Nothing that really got their heart rate up. Terminal disease count in the group that did nothing was the highest. We expect that. The group that had the best response, though, was the group that moved every 45 minutes to an hour. And think about this for a second. Think about what your desk is doing. And I've written life as a pond. If we think about a pond, that doesn't get any sort of irrigation or flow. Gets all sorts like, gnarly bits in the corner and some green licheny stuff and maybe some fungi over here and a few frogs sitting in the corner, okay? A few things like tadpoles. Have you ever done that thing where you were a kid where you took the bucket of tadpoles and had them sit there and then you forgot about them, then you come back and you're like, wow, what the hell happened to this? Okay, there's frogs hopping out. Sorry, I digress. But the whole idea is that if we want to have a body that is flushed clean of the impurities that we're constantly putting in it, if we want a body that is flushed clean of just the waste products that get created by us just existing, the engine's always ticking. Our metabolism is always going. But if you want to have a body that's clean and like more of a flowing river than a stagnant pond, then just getting up and that action of moving around helps increase blood flow to the brain, helps increase oxygenation of the body, helps increase posture, helps get that blood flowing. Any time you bend that muscle, it's like a sponge, squeezing out the sponge and then filling the sponge, squeezing out the sponge and then filling the sponge. And anytime I can do that, if you think about if I have a dirty sponge, if I can squeeze it and release it, it's cleaner. If I have a clean bucket of water or fresh blood circulating through my body. Is this useful, guys? Good. I can feel the attention. It's like making me nervous. So right now, all right. So how we move, don't move our bodies. Be active according to you. I'm not sure if there's any competitive shin kickers in here. All right. It's a pretty popular sport, sweeping the nation. All right. In Australia, all right. I grew up. I was state shin kicking champion. I'm just kidding. So shin kicking is a very unusual sport. If you don't know what it is, basically these two gentlemen, you'll see straw sticking out of the bottom of their pants. They get to shove as much straw into the front of their pants as they can, up to the knee, and then they proceed to hold each other by the shoulders and then kick each other in the shin. Which, there are strange ways to settle a dispute, I guess, right? But, yeah, that's right. I challenge you to you have tarnished my honor. Shin kicking at dawn. All right, so if we look at this right now, what I want you to think about is this, is that the shin kicking is just one example of a unique activity. However, these guys are obviously pretty into it. The key part is, someone might say, hey, you know what, I'm going to do a marathon. Do you want to come do it with me? And you might go running if someone's chasing me, okay? Or you might say, you know what, I've always wanted to run, but that sounds a little too scary. What if we did a 5K? Tomorrow I'm at doing a thing tomorrow for the Colfax 5K where I'll be doing a warm up for everyone in the group, and I think that's great. You've got the Colfax Marathon, the half marathon, different relay teams, different ways that people can get into it. Then you've got like all sorts of beautiful hikes around Colorado. If you said running's too much for me right now, what might be right for you? Or you might say, you know what, running's great, but it hurts my knees. So then we might say, according to you, what would be a suitable activity? Swimming? Cycling? Have you tried either? What if you were to try it and totally love it? What if there's a place nearby you that does it? If we don't look for opportunities, then we won't know. If we don't try to take charge of what we can control, then we won't know. And I'm not saying we'll end up in a shin-kicking league, but I'm saying that if we were to try to explore these things and find something that works for you, think about what you're into. Some people are highly competitive. They love competitive things, but they know they'll tear themselves apart. So what's a competitive you can do that wouldn't require you to smash up against other people? I was meeting with someone the other day talking about corporate wellness, and they said that they had a corporate wellness program that had involved getting gentlemen signed up for a basketball league, which probably was a horrible idea because all these 40-year-olds going up against 20-year-olds and getting even more injured. And she said, it's not supposed to be a good idea. So it's one of those things where we can say, okay, what is right for me? However, what if we were to say volleyball or something like that, where there's not the opportunity for you to have a flying body smashing into you, or maybe something less volatile, maybe something where there's not jumping involved. But the bottom line here is think about things you enjoyed as a child. Think about that play. Think about what you're into. Are you someone who needs the scoreboard? Are you someone who wants to do it just because you would enjoy the movement? Think about that. Maybe is right for you. Maybe yoga is right for you. Maybe both of those are wrong for you. But the most important part is that you have to think about it. Because if you're going to choose to move, Let's choose to move in a way that's right for you, that feels good to you. All right, so this is what you feed your mouth. So I've got three things I want to talk about. One is insulin, one is swelling, and one is drinking. You can tell right now, we've all seen that picture of the devil and the angel on the shoulder. Okay, and you can tell this woman here is having a challenge where she's got the devil on her shoulder saying, do it, eat the cake. And then the angel is saying, be good, don't eat it. Because that's how the angels talk. I don't know if you knew that. And you can tell she's having trouble because she's doing this face. So, decision face. All right, that decision face that we all make. So when we think about this, okay, this right here, it's portrayed as like a devil and an angel. But within us, we have choices that we make. And so what you feed your mouth plays a big part into how we feel about our body, how our brain operates, what sort of energy levels we have throughout the day, and in turn, what kind of decisions we make today. So what I'm going to tell you is this. Insulin. Insulin is a major factor. If you don't know what insulin is, if you know someone who's diabetic, basically they have trouble regulating their insulin. When we eat something sweet and sugary, our blood jumps up. The body then releases insulin to bring it down. The tricky part is that over millions of years, or however long we've been here, we've evolved in such a way that we don't really have many things in nature that are super sweet. So when we eat something that is processed or has an excess amount of sugar, then our blood sugar goes pew, off to the races. Okay, it goes up that roller coaster, then the insulin comes in, smashes it back down. And unfortunately, the body will typically overreact and release too much insulin. And that extra insulin then drops it deeper. So then I go from feeling low in energy, I'm like, oh, give me some sugar, jumps up, I eat that insulin, drops back down again. And all of a sudden, here I am again, an hour to 2 hours later. Around 3, 4 o'clock maybe. Start to feel that drag, right? We had our lunch, that was great, and then 3 or 4 o'clock, all of a sudden we go, oh man, just give me some chocolate, Okay, let me see what's in the vending machine. I go get something from the vending machine, see, I know, there you go. So there goes the vending machine, I get something, goes, pow, jumps me up. Okay, which is great, but by the time I get home, which is about 5:36, 6:30, right? Then all of a sudden I'm like, oh God, here I am again. Why am I so tired? Oh, let me just watch some TV and zone off. Oh man, now I should probably eat something. What's quick and easy to get? All of a sudden, here I am. And the cycle happens again and again to millions of Americans every day. And I was watching, if you've seen, there's a really interesting documentary on HBO called Weight of a Nation. If you can have an opportunity to watch it, it's really fascinating, very, very insightful. One of the things that I personally feel that they're missing, though, is that they're talking about we need education, we need better choices in schools. To me, what we need is preventative strategies. But preventative strategies in a way such that it is easier for us to make the right decision. So what I'd say to you is, if you can try to preemptively strike what you think is going to happen to your body, then just maybe we can have an effect on it so that it's easy for us to make the right decision. So if I were to say to you, try to have something that's high in fiber, high in protein, got some good carbs in it for breakfast, then maybe we'll go and have a delicious lunch. And for lunch, get a large salad, just like you guys did today. That's fantastic. I love seeing everyone grab that. What I would say, though, is if you had some sort of a small Tupperware or to-go container, shove a little bit of that salad in there, and around 3 or 4 o'clock, grab some more of this delicious, high-fiber mix of protein, carbs, and fats that is healthy. So that way you've got something that you can hit before you know that 3, 4 o'clock strike is going to happen. You with me? Good. So, insulin, that's one. If you can keep the insulin flat, the body has no reason to hang on to the fat. If you can keep the insulin flat, then the body has no reason to hang on to the fat. Because when the insulin jumps up and down, the body goes, whoa, hang on a sec, this money intake that I've got in the blood sugar is just varying all up and down. I don't know what's going on, so I'm just going to hang on to some of this stuff, okay? Because when you figured it out, blood sugar, you let me know, and I'll gladly release some of it. But for right now, I'm going to go into preservation mode. Swelling. I'm going to say probably the most chintzy line, okay, but I haven't found a better one. So if you can come up with one for me, I'll take it. Ready? The body's solution to pollution is dilution. The pollution is dilution, meaning that when we eat something like salt, the body takes in salt. And of course, at bars, they have like these peanuts and all sorts of other salty pretzel crackers and things that you Americans only see in America. But the main thing is that they're salty. Why do they have these salty things at bar? Why are they free? Oh, yeah, they're free. It's awesome. Because why? Because it's salty, so it makes us want to drink, right? And why do we get salty after salt? Why do we get thirsty after salt? Like why? Well, yeah, why do we get dehydrated? The water didn't go anywhere. What happened to it? So what I want you to think about is this. What's happening is you're eating this thing, and the tissues are going, whoa, too much salt. I need to absorb this, take it on. If you've ever been bitten by a bee, that area swells up, right? If anyone has a reaction to shellfish, you'll see that face. It's go, whoop, okay? So here's what I want you to think about. The tissues of your body take on extra water. They soak up extra water. So if we have weight on our bodies, maybe, just maybe, it's a result of things that we're eating that our body is having a reaction to, a very subtle reaction. No one ever walks around going, I'm allergic to salt. Okay? But we all know that there's a reaction that happens when we eat salt, right? No one ever thinks about, maybe I have a mild allergic reaction to milk, wheat, nightshade vegetables, things like eggplant or tomatoes. Now, I'm not saying everyone here does. But what I'm telling you is that if I have a client that comes in and says, I have 3 weeks to get ready for a wedding, I will instantly put her on a no sugar, no milk, no wheat diet, which leaves her with basically like fruit and vegetables, some brown rice, and meat and chicken and fish to take down. And she will drop weight like nothing. And she'll say, I lost all this fat. And I'll say, you didn't lose fat, you lost water weight. Now, does the scale tell us the difference? No. Do the pants know the difference? Most definitely. And does the heart know the difference? Yeah. I've got less inflammation in the body. I've got less swelling that's happened because the solution to pollution is dilution. And what happens is the body, it gets inflamed, it swells up. And if I can get rid of these foods that will have a negative effect on me, then I'm on the right track. Good. Oh, I can feel this is good. I can feel the knowledge being absorbed right now. All right, so drinking. All right. So if you are going to drink alcohol, I know it's a tough choice for many of you, all right? I had a few beforehand, really helps me. But if you're going to drink alcohol, know this, that in terms of that insulin part I talked about, with sugars being absorbed, beer contains maltose, which is a kind of sugar which is absorbed faster than table sugar. That's how quickly it comes in the body. It also has wheat, which tends to be an inflammatory food for many of us. So I would say, if you love beer, then have beer. But if you love beer and wine equally as much, then choose some red wine instead. And if you can, I'll tell you this, have it after the meal. Treat the wine as your dessert. Now, I'm going to say, of course, drink in moderation or don't drink at all. That's always the best choice. But if you're going to, and I'm going to be realistic, then I'm going to tell you, if you're going to have red wine, have it after your drink. Have it after your meal. Have it after have the last drink, have another drink. Yeah. If you're going to have red wine, have it after your meal. And here's why. Because when you drink red wine, it appears in the stomach. You know how people sometimes get that flushing effect in their face? That happens in the stomach. And then when the stomach does that, it has a problem processing the food that you're about to digest. And so if you've had a problem processing the food, then what happens then is the food that you eat after you've drunk the wine is going to be processed differently, and chances are you won't get the nutrients you need, or your body might retain a little bit more fat as a result of it. However, if you can have some sort of nice, healthy dinner and then go, you know what, I could have some tiramisu for dessert, or a nice glass of red wine. And it would be relaxing. Red wine has things called resveratrol in it, which is been shown to have different properties for weight reduction, things of that nature. But it's also sometimes a great de-stressor. There's some heart programs that actually support the idea of just like a half a glass of red wine periodically. So what I'll tell you is this: if you're going to have alcohol, try to have red wine. If you're going to have red wine, try to have it at the end of your meal. If you drink something, try not to eat after that for at least 3 hours. Okay, good inside tip. All right. So, what do you feed in your mouth? Social strategies. Now, when we're a kid, we don't want to eat something. We do that. All right. We go, no, shan't. All right. Well, you guys don't say shan't. You say don't want to. My 3-year-old's real good at it right now. She's teaching me all sorts of different varieties of ways to avoid eating food. Sometimes she'll just look out the window. Sometimes she'll throw it on the floor. Sometimes she'll throw it at me. She gets choice. But what I'll say is that social strategies are really important. Now, if I know I'm going to a party, you guys knew you were coming here, and chances are Ashley has done a great job with these other events, and you know there's going to be something healthy to eat. But if you didn't know, if you weren't sure, if you come to one of these before, and you knew that, actually, here I'm coming to this lunch and learn, and there's just going to be bagels and cream cheese. Okay, and that's not necessarily the healthiest choice that I want to make. You get to be in control of what you eat. So you would say, maybe the night before you would go, okay, I got lunch and learn today. I'm going to pack my lunch now, and I'm going to eat at my desk before I come to this thing. So that way there'll be these bagels and cream cheese, but I won't be tempted. And I'll be able to walk right in, feel full, sit down, pay attention, and walk out knowing that I didn't derail my efforts. Or maybe you want to grab something 5 minutes before the presentation starts. Or maybe walk in 10 minutes late. And then you've missed the best stuff, but it's okay. But the most important part is that you realize that there are choices that we can make. If I'm going to a social event like a party, a friend's party, I don't know if it's a sit-down dinner, I don't know what it is. You'd be amazed the number of clients I have that will make major changes in their life simply by making that choice of eating something before they'll go to a party in the evening. Because you go to the party and, of course, there's like little snacky things, and there aren't always healthy snacky things, because if I'm the host, I want everyone to be having a good time, and I'm going to show them it's a good time by bringing out some different food, right? Always happens. And if I'm hungry, my blood sugar is down low, it's about 6:30, and I've already been working hard all day, and my willpower is at all time low, and I say, try some of the triple bacon-dipped, deep-fried cream cheese balls, all Dean special, then you might go, sounds good, chomp, 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 chomp. And then, of course, we see, and then, then we go, oh, I've ruined everything now, so let me have more food, and then before you know it, we're like in our underwear with a tub of ice cream, right? No, you guys, all right. So, yeah. But again, touch briefly on stress. I'd say that if you were to try and take control, focus on what you can control and not what you can't. My favorite story to tell about stress is when I was living in Japan. Living in Japan for about 3 years. I know it was an unusual experience for me. I would scare small children. But I remember sitting on the train, and the trains in Japan are known for being right on time. Like they're always dead on time. And I was going to teach an English school, and I missed my train. I knew the next one was in 15 minutes, so I stood at the station. I was mad. I was like, oh, God, like, there's nothing I can do because the train's going to be right on time. And then I got on the train, and there were people getting on the train. They were meandering. I was like, come on, hurry up, get on the train. I was getting mad at these people for not getting on the train on time, knowing full well that the train was going to arrive at the time the train was going to arrive. My phone went dead. I was thought about rushing out, calling, and trying to get back on the train, and that would be too much. So I was like, okay, wow. I thought about all the things I could do, and then I was like, there's nothing I can do. I just have to, as soon as the train arrives, I have to sprint. So all of a sudden, I had this 20-minute window of zen. I was like, wow, there's nothing I can do about this. Absolutely nothing. I know exactly what I'm going to do the second that the doors open at my station. But in the meantime, is there anything I can really do? Is there anything to worry about? No. And it's all out of my control. I'm not driving the train. I can't be like, no, red alert. This guy needs to get to work. The things I could control all of a sudden became evident to me. The things I couldn't became evident to me. And all of a sudden that stress turned and dropped down. Now, I'm not saying we all need to live in this world that's stress-free. I think that stress can be an important part for us. In regards to stress, what I'll say is that if I think about a marathon, okay, even marathon runners, when they're starting off, or people who run marathon will sometimes run a mile, walk a mile. Or I played professional basketball many years ago in a former life. And when I was playing professional basketball, I would run around, and then the coach would go, great, Jamie, sit down for 5 minutes. I'd say, okay, now get back in. He would wait till I'd recovered. What I'm saying is maybe in your work-life environment, play hard, work hard, but take time to give yourself a break. Because when I was on the basketball court and didn't realize how tired I was, but the coach would see it, he'd pull me off. I'd say, great, sit down. Sometimes I would see it and I would call for it. We'd just done a big play, it was like up and down a whole bunch of times, and I would go, coach, I need a timeout. I know I'm going to be gassed in about 30 seconds. Coach would see it, he could get in time, sit me down. It's great. I get to stay at peak performance. With all of us, there are certain breaks, certain windows, certain opportunities that maybe we can think of, that we can do, that we can make conscious decisions about. And this is the key thing, to make a conscious decision. Not to have someone say, you know what, go 5 minutes, you are way overstressed right now. However, for us to say, I'm just going to take a personal time out right now, I'll be right back. We say something like that, and when someone says, why are you doing that? Just say, you know what, I just need to clear my mind. I find I work so much better when I've got a clear mind. And all of a sudden, here I am with the respect of the people, because they will respect that I know myself, and that you know you, and that you want to do the very best job you can. And by doing the best job you can, maybe you give yourself the best chance of success, whether it is in work or in life. Does that make sense? So, because I hear lots of people talk about, go vacation for 2 weeks. And of course, we go vacation for 2 weeks, and we go how did this mountain of paperwork get on my desk? And we dig through it, and then all of a sudden, by the time we're through it, we're back to the same stress level. So let's look to find strategies that we can within the day, within the workplace. Because if we can de-stress, it's great for our health, it's great for mental ability, it's also great for this thing. Not to forget how important this thing is. The old. So social strategies, which leads into this. This is if you can't read it, basically the wife is sitting down with the husband and she says, when you've been married a long time, you get to know what the other person thinks. And then the husband's thought bubble goes, no, you don't. So, and there is always an action and reaction. Anything to us, you get to choose what your reaction is. Okay? I might say something extremely funny, but you get to choose whether or not you laugh at it. I might say something that's terrible, and you might think, you know what, I understand what this guy's trying to do, how he's trying to help us, and I'm going to process it, and I'm going to absorb it. Or I might say something completely off the wall, and you might go, okay, I'm going to stay with this. Or you know, that's it, lights out. I'm going to switch off and just sit back and maybe play some Angry Birds, something like that. Okay? The thing is that whenever these situations happen to us in work, whenever someone comes up and says, oh my God, I know chocolate's your favorite, I got you a piece of chocolate cake. And all of a sudden you go, what shall I do? You get to choose your reaction to that. And here's the important part. What we do with our minds is that I might say, okay, how can I, because right now I'm going to feel guilty. And sometimes I might feel guilty if I don't eat the chocolate cake that's presented in front of me. Or maybe what I can do with my mind is I can go, oh, you know what? Man, I just ate like a big piece of chocolate cake earlier today. And if I eat that, I'm going to be sick. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving that to me. I really appreciate that. That is so thoughtful of you that you knew I love chocolate. Okay, am I lying? Hell yeah. Okay? But just going like, oh, I still feel good. You know, that I gave him a piece of chocolate cake. Yes. Is lying unethical? Yes, lying is bad, okay? But what I'll tell you is that if it means you don't have to eat the chocolate cake, okay, and you can either palm it off to someone else, be like, thank you so much. Hey, I know chocolate's your favorite. Okay? Yeah, because chocolate's everyone's favorite. Come on. So if we think about strategies that we can use and what we can do with our mind and what we know other people will do with their minds. Okay, when we go to a party, sometimes someone will walk up and they'll go, oh my God, did you try this? Or did you try that? Okay? And you might go, no. And they'll go, oh my God, you have to try it. They'll take you by the hand. They'll bring you over. And they'll have you try it right in front of them. And go, isn't that the best thing ever? Isn't that so delicious? Have we been here? Have we been in that situation? Yeah. Or someone has something here. Hey, have one. I'll give you one right now. Take one right now. Now, maybe, just maybe, I'm saying, hey, you know what? Have one because I feel kind of guilty about eating this thing. But if you have one too, then I won't feel guilty. Isn't that great? Because then we'll both be basically in poor health. But as long as I have someone else around me that's in poor health, then I won't feel as bad. Because let's face it, whenever we hear something that's bad about ourselves, there's a human instinct, there's a comparative instinct that kicks in that says, now, to give you background on me, I have a degree in sports science, but my first degree is actually in neuroscience. So this kind of like brain stuff is really fascinating to me. So we have an instant reaction that happens to us when someone says, hey, guess what? You have high blood pressure, or you're overweight, or you're too stressed, or you're performing poorly at work. Okay, then we instantly have this thing to go, well, I'm not as bad as that guy. Okay, we instantly compare ourselves to someone else. So if I can find someone else that's not as bad as me at this, but don't do that. Don't do that. Own it. Say, you know what? I'm not as good at this, but I'm great at this thing. I'm great at these other things. I'm still valuable just because I can't do this one thing doesn't mean everything matters upon this one thing. And if I decide that, you know what, that is where I need the value, then work on it. Take charge. Make decisions. Don't be reactive, be proactive. So, but do it consciously, and therefore, when these actions happen to you, you control the reaction. I would drive my bosses mad when I lived in corporate America world. I would drive my bosses mad because they would go, Jamie, you're not doing this enough. And I would go, okay, how can I do it better? And they'd go, you trying to be funny? I'd be like, no, help me get better. Now, of course, I wasn't in an excellent company such as Gates Rubber, but we've all been in that situation where the manager expects us to get defensive. Expects us to go like, well, come on. I mean, I've been working really hard and I did this really good. Now, if you can own it and say, okay, help me get better. I know someone who can help me get better. Maybe if you want to make good food choices, hang out with the good food choice people. Or find a few good food choice friends. Biggest Loser, great show, love it. It's inspired many people. At the same time, sometimes I hate it. And I hate it because it builds this expectation in people that they can lose 40 pounds in a week. And if I locked you in a small cage for a week and fed you what I chose to feed you, then yeah, you might be able to lose a major amount of weight. But what I hate is that these people go, and they go away, and then the show is over, and then 70% of them actually get back to the original weight they were, sometimes more. Why? Because the show makes them lose weight but doesn't take care of what's really gotten them there, which is the social settings, which is the habits, which is the other people. It doesn't teach them how to say no. Because if I'm surrounded by all these people saying, don't eat that, we've got a team challenge this week, okay? But if I'm surrounded by people at a football game going, come on, show's over, have some hot wings, what am I going to do? Sooner or later, I'm going to crumble if I have the same social circle, because that's how I got in there in the first place. True? True. Trust. Okay, so the last thing I'll say is trust. Trust nobody, not even yourself. Why? Because the self you are now, okay, is different than the self you will be at 6:30 later this afternoon when you're trying to figure out what you're going to eat for dinner. But if you were to say, okay, tomorrow self, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make some food tonight. Okay, so that way when you get home, you'll walk in and you'll go, what am I going to eat? That's right. Yesterday self, I made some food that is healthy and nutritious and delicious. And all I have to do is throw it in the pan. Thanks, yesterday self. You're welcome, tomorrow self. All right, so we get the idea? Yeah, this guy's a little lippy, right? All right, so what we do with our minds. Now, did you think I would come to Gates Rubber and not do some homework on you guys? Huh? All right. More production, less suction. You guys familiar with this phrase? More production, less suction? No? Okay. It's actually Charlie Gates' catchphrase. Charlie Gates. I know he's dead now. But that was his catchphrase. All right, so more production, less suction. All right, you guys, although now it's Jamie Atlas's catchphrase, all right? I'm taking over. I'm owning it now. Okay, so more production, less suction. If we can just make some sort of change in mentally how we approach things. It doesn't have to be a wholesale change. We walk in tomorrow wearing some kind of moo-moo, like, hey, everyone, free love. Okay, we don't have to do that. All we have to do is we have to walk in and we have to know, okay, here are the things that I'm going to do differently. I'm going to make a conscious decision about it, right? And if I can make those conscious decisions, then I'm doing great. It doesn't have to be a full change. You just have to tip the scale a little bit. Because what will happen is that success will tip the scale just a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And that success will beget success. Just like how sometimes when we do something wrong, all of a sudden we're going to make another poor decision, and then we just get in this downward spiral. Let's make it an upward spiral. Think about things like that. Okay, so if I've got that right there, so if we can think about what we do with our minds in terms of how it all comes together, we talked about what we move, don't move. Okay, we've talked about what we feed our mouths, talked about what we do with our minds. The truth is that these are synchronous. They are synergistic, fancy word, meaning that they all affect each other. If I move and I do some movement, then basically I'm going to clear the mind. It's going to release all sorts of good endorphins in my body. It's also going to give me the opportunity to improve my energy stores. And the body will respond by saying, okay, you're not giving me this 10-hour-a-day signal that like I'm supposed to be in this position, but you're actually starting to give me some signals to say, hey, let's stand tall. And when you're standing tall, all of a sudden, all sorts of different things happen throughout the body. I've got more energy. I'm expending less poor energy. And then that makes it easier for me to make good decisions. If I say, you know what, I feel like going for a 5-minute walk, maybe the radius of good food options are greater within a 5-minute walk than they are within a 1-block radius, right? Maybe I don't have time. Maybe I need to take time. What we feed our mouths, the things that we put in our body, will affect our mood, will affect our blood sugar, will affect our energy, will affect the way our body develops and changes. As we get older, we need, if we were to think of ourselves as a car, and I like the car analogy, even though I have horrible stories about trying to change my own oil. I don't want to even want to get into it. But the most important part to know is if we think of our body as a car, it's like a car, except that one of my favorite lines when I have clients who say, oh, it's not going to be a good weekend for me. I say, why? And they say, oh, I've got family coming in from out of town. And Mum's going to be like cooking this, and I've got friends who want to go out and do that. And I say, well, that's okay. Just wear your vacation body. Just wear that. Or you don't have a vacation body. Oh, that's right. You just have the same body, and you can't really take it off or put it on. So no matter what you do, it will affect this body. I don't have a different car. I can't smash up one car and then go get another car. If I treat my body as the only one I'm ever going to get, then all of a sudden that maintenance becomes important. And just like a new car, okay, we can beat it up a little bit, drive it around, maybe do some donuts in the parking lot, okay, and it's okay. But as that car gets older, as it gets more vintage, okay, we need to maybe take care of it just a little bit more. We need to be a little bit more conservative with the way we approach what we do with it. Now, I'm not saying don't do anything with it, but don't stick it in the garage. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying, though, is if we think about that nutrition, think about the things that you might be needing. Think about the things you might not be getting. Think about that as you get older, that fine-tuning becomes more and more important. What we do with our minds. The mental part's a huge part. It's really an important thing for all of us to realize that, you know what, my thoughts do become things. And people talk about, like, I mean, there's a lot of talk about, there's some videos out there called The Secret. And my wife is big into The Secret, and, like, she'll try and think about getting the right parking space and stuff like that. And I, while I respect her opinion, I also respectfully disagree with certain aspects of it. I do believe that if we're looking for opportunities and looking for the right kind of opportunities, then when they appear, we will be ready for them, and we will be looking for them, as opposed to having our head down and thinking, man, something bad's probably going to happen to me next. Okay, then all of a sudden we're looking for that bad thing to happen. And we create this anxiety in ourselves. And this anxiety that don't really need. This fear that has no reason to be here. This fear of what might happen next, knowing full well that what might happen next might not actually happen. And if we waste all this energy trying to worry about what's going to happen, then all of a sudden, when it doesn't happen, we're like, oh crap, I'm exhausted from all that worrying about that thing that never really happened. Now maybe it will happen. But maybe what I need to do is spend my energy thinking about, okay, like, what can I do right now? What can I be in control of? What am I in control of? I can control, okay, maybe if I know, okay, the boss is going to come down and fire me this afternoon, maybe rather than complain about it and, like, shove bananas in the printer and stuff like that, okay, maybe I can focus on different things I can do to finish off the work that I have at hand, so that way when I leave with respect for my coworkers. If that's a choice you make. But you get to choose. Don't react, be proact. Proact? New word. All right. So, what we do with our minds. 3 choices we all have control of. So let me turn it to you guys. Now, normally, I've talked a lot about these 3 things. Normally, people have questions about things like things I can drink, things I can eat, de-stressing techniques. Is there anything in particular? And I'll just take. This is the crowd participation section of the presentation. Okay. This is the part where I turn it over to you guys, and you say, hey, do you have thoughts about this? Do you have thoughts about that? If you don't speak, then what will happen is there will be an awkward silence, and then I'll just start to talk about different topics and questions that normally get asked. So, meditation. Meditation is something that sometimes we don't like the idea of. Okay, it's like a little too new agey. But meditation is something that actually I'll say I have a few clients that will, because we have this work environment where it's not okay to, like, lie down and be in this Zen-like state. But when we drive home, okay, then when we get in the car, there's this moment, and I have a 3-year-old and I have an 8-week-old right now. And this 8-week-old and the 3-year-old together is like an exponential amount of work. I'm not sure if anyone has 2 kids or more, but if you do, just power on. What I'll tell you is that having these 2 kids, all of a sudden, I'm finding different moments where I'm like, wow, I need a break. So how can I find this break? How can I find this little window of opportunity? Okay, sometimes going to the bathroom is just like, oh yeah. or that beautiful vacation where you close the door of the car, the 2 kids are in there, and you walk around the car and you're like, yeah. It's like the Bahamas, yeah. It's, I can smell the ocean. And then you get in the car on the other side, and of course you're back into reality. But things like that, like taking moments and really consciously taking moments, is important to do. The other part I'll tell you is that some clients is that they'll actually buy a meditation CD, they'll drive home, and they'll park a block away. Because if the kids see in the parking lot, okay, or outside the house, then yeah, forget it, meditation break over. But if you park a block away and just go, lean the car back, put in the meditation CD, just listen, just relax. Just take 5 minutes for you. We do so many things for other people, but we never actually do things for ourselves. Don't be ashamed to do it. Know that it's going to recharge your battery and you'll be able to be a better parent, coworker, friend, person. Things like that will make a big difference over time. The important part will be you taking time for you to recharge your batteries and know how you recharge your batteries. Maybe lying still is something that you just can't do. Maybe saying, okay, on my way home I'm going to stop off, pull out a yoga mat, put it in the middle of the park and just do a couple of sun salutations. Now, some of us, other of us might be, wow, that is exactly what I need. Okay, and if you're in a park that's far away from where you live, or on the way between work and house and work and home, then all of a sudden, you can sort of do it without fear of like someone seeing you and being like, "What's Charlie doing outside the office? What's Charlie doing out there?" So what I'll say to you is, so that's meditation. In terms of drinks, I talked a little bit about, sorry. So now let me pause again to make sure there's no other questions. All right, cool. In terms of drinks, what else? See, I've done this before. I know, I guess. In terms of drinks, what I'll tell you is this. Talk about diet. People talk about diet soda. Is diet soda okay? I'll say diet soda is low in calories. What's interesting about the artificial sweeteners is they tend to be appetite stimulants, which means that, and of course, when we're hungry, we'll typically reach for, when we're thirsty, we'll typically reach for food. So if we are drinking enough water, then sometimes that can be a great preventative measure for us to not eat too much food. However, if we are drinking Diet Coke, which is an appetite stimulant, chances are that will have an effect of us drinking more Diet Coke. And also, there's all sorts of bacteria-affecting agents in artificial sweeteners, which means that our intestinal lining doesn't necessarily absorb the nutrients and minerals as well, which can lead to prevention of weight loss. Is as strong as I'll be willing to go on record. What I'll tell you is that diet soda pretty much has no calories, but just like how you could say a cigarette has a limited amount of nicotine in it, there are other aspects to what goes inside a cigarette that has other effects on your health. To make it more addictive, the diet soda tends to have other properties that extend to more negative health, more health challenges than if you were to have a regular soda. Now, regular soda, what I'm going to tell you that if you need flavor, if you say I just can't drink straight water, okay, we're all drinking water right now, which is very PC, very awesome of us. However, if I said to you, this water would be better absorbed if you put just a splash of Gatorade, or a little bit, like I have a pineapple juice at home last night. I'll make a big thing of water, and I'll just take the pineapple juice and I'll just go just like that, just enough to flavor. Because when you have a little bit of carbs in the water, it actually is absorbed better by the intestinal lining. So if you want to drink more water, put a little bit of something in there, not a lot, just enough to taste. Even it might just be like, say, a couple of squeezed limes, or a couple of squeezed lemons, things like that. That can make a major difference on what we're doing. If you're happy where you are right now, power to you, fantastic. In that case, take action to make sure you can stay there. If you want more than that, then take action to make change. It doesn't have to be wholesale action, but just think about where you want that change to be. Maybe if I were to say to you, don't try to change what you eat, what you move, and what you think at the same time, but pick one this week. Mark on your calendar, try to focus on what goes into my body. Try to focus on what I do with my body. Try to focus on where my mind goes. Try to catch it before it runs away. I want to say thanks to you guys for being here today. There are many other choices you could have made except for being here today, but you chose to be here. And for that, I am truly grateful, and you should give yourselves a round of applause for being here as well. Well done, guys. Good. 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 Bonza Bodies is on 18th and Broadway. We're just up there. We do small group personal training, meaning it's not as expensive as one-on-one, but it's not as impersonal as a large group. You can't get lost in the crowd. Myself and our instructors are all trained to be able to modify it for individuals. We'll have classes where we had a woman who was trying to lose 100 pounds, working out next to a woman who is a USA team skier. So, I mean, that's kind of what we do. What we try and do is make it so it's a judgment-free zone. Everyone's having a good time. Everyone walks away with the workout that they came to get. That's what we do.